Welcome to Reality with Kiki. I'm your host, Kiki, and on this channel, we discuss reality TV, celebrity gossip, and viral topics. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you like our content. You can also follow us on our Facebook page. A link will be in the description box below, and we also have it linked in our bio. Welcome back. Welcome back. We are with our new episode of Love and Marriage Huntsville, and things are starting to get interesting, or more interesting, I'll say. So, Destiny is doing a cover shoot for Hype Here magazine. That is exciting. I'm happy for her with that. I remember Here magazine. I remember being in the salons, flipping through the magazines, seeing the different hairstyles. I loved Hype Here magazine. So her dad comes in to support her. He brings her flowers. It was just such a sweet moment. He was just basically telling her how he's proud of her, and it was just a beautiful moment to see. So then, shortly thereafter, Tisha comes in and she meets Destiny's dad for the first time, and Destiny says, "Oh, maybe we could hook him up with Miss Wanda." And Tisha's like, "Oh, I don't know. I don't know about that. He seems a bit calm. She might be a bit too much." And I was crying. I'm like, who is putting up with Wanda crazy tail self? So Destiny takes a break from her shoot, and her and Tisha have a conversation about Vegas and Tiffany, and how Tiffany does too much. And I thought that it was interesting to me that Tisha had the same sentiments as Destiny, but doesn't feel a need to either one, defend Destiny, or two, agree with her, so that if there are multiple people that will let Tiffany know, like, this is inappropriate, you should not be doing this. So I'm just glad to see one other person understanding where Destiny is coming from and is not gaslighting her, because I feel like myself, as well as many other viewers, are everybody else is seeing it, except for, of course, Mel, because that's her best buddy. And then, like, Kimmy and Tisha would just be standing to the side and not really saying anything or be involving themselves. And that just feels like you don't really have an opinion either way. Okay, so Destiny and Tiffany are finally going to have a sit down. They are going to try to hash out their issues, or try to figure out where they can come to a common understanding, so that they are not butting heads every time they are in a group or at an event together. So, they meet up to have drinks at a bar. Destiny's little dress is cute. Tiffany shows up in this church lady outfit. I don't know. It just is not doing it for me. But Destiny goes on to say, this and this is where you went wrong. Giving her examples. She turns around and says, "Well, I want you to maybe look at it from a different perspective. There's no other different perspective to look at it if you're trying to be shady." So you telling her, "Oh, wherever you're from, Atlanta, Detroit, basically it's jumping out." You were being shady. There's no other way to look at it. And nobody has to accept that. And it's just like, again, her self-awareness is off. Her not accepting accountability where she's wrong. I'm not understanding, because You and your husband act like these therapists who knows the ins and outs of human beings and the way they work and how marriages work. Why can't you hold yourself accountable? That is a problem that she has. And, that's kind of annoying to watch when you watch grown adults not being able to accept responsibility. And Tiffany goes on to say, you were once the new girl in the group and you weren't perfect. Were you perfect? And Destiny is like, no, I'm not perfect. But it's just like, again, that is not the topic at hand. The topic at hand is the fact that you came into this group trying to spill tea, trying to be messy, trying to be shady, but then you act confused when somebody calls you out. Like, I hate people who throw rocks and hide their hands. A lot of people do. You're not real. You're not being real. So Destiny goes into, we don't really know you. You talk about transparency, but you're not transparent about your life or your relationship, but you have an opinion on everybody else's. So she goes into how she was not born Tiffany. So, everybody is like, well, what that mean? But it turns out that she was adopted. She said she had a different name at birth, but her mother gave her up for adoption because she was biracial. So her mom is white. I'm going to assume that her dad is black. And she has four white children. Her mom has four white children and did not keep her, gave her up for adoption. She didn't know. And I guess when she was a teenager, she was struggling with who she was because I guess she was looking around her family and nobody looked like her. She might have felt like she didn't have a connection to anybody. And because she said she was having a struggle, one of her neighbors saw her having that struggle, and her neighbor decided to expose to her that she was adopted. And I'm like, well, is that where you get it from? Because that was inappropriate. Your neighbor should not have done that. That wasn't their business to tell. And it seems like you've been doing that here in this group. You came out the gate doing things like that, exposing details of people's situations and relationships when it's not your place. And Destiny connected because she said she was in the foster care system. Her mom, was a drug addict most of her life and is still actively addicted to drugs, and she had to go into the system. So they were able to connect on that, which, is kind of nice to see. I mean, Tiffany still is not winning me over as a viewer as of yet, but that was nice that they were able to have that connection and try to get past the issues that they were having. So I will say though, they showed off new confessional looks, and Destiny has been killing it this season, but her new blue look, like that, she looks amazing. So we got cut to Mel going to visit Chris to discuss the opportunity that he presented to her about building homes. So we know that Melody has the builder's license. So the business that she had with Martell, she the license was hung under her. So Chris gets into how Martell, he had a conversation with Martell. Martell's upset because he felt like Chris should have come to him first about the business deal, and he essentially wants to try to cut Mel out of the deal. And Mel is like, well, that's confusing because he covers nothing. I take care of everything for the kids. I pay for everything with them. Why would you be trying to take food out of their mouths? And she's just like, I'm not backing away from this deal. I'm the person with the license. So what is he gonna do? So Chris also lets her know that like Martell showed up to his meeting with Marceau as, general contractor to try to help buff up his stock so that he can be chosen to build the homes. But Mel she is not here for it. And Martell is really struggling right now because he does not have a builder's license. He was unable to obtain his builder's license, he said that he could not pass the test. That's why everything worked with his partnership with his ex-wife, because she was able to pass that test and get that license. So, but one thing that I did see on Twitter, somebody said that he doesn't have a license because he is in too much debt. And he probably is in debt from a multitude of things, but I don't know. I'm assuming that some of that is that the business between him and Melody, it was dissolved, right? So those lines of credit and everything that he had under that business name, like all of that is gone. He doesn't have that to rely on anymore outside of any other debt that he may have had. So he goes to visit Maurice because, as you know, to use him as an attorney to help him try to fix his credit and get his credit together. And Maurice is just basically telling him like it's probably not gonna happen for you to like quickly have a turnaround and get your credit to where you need it to be so that you can go to the bank and get loans and get things done. So I just find it funny how Martell was heavily affected by the divorce, but it's just like you didn't think about all these other effects that would happen due to your actions. So had you not been a cheater, had you been a better husband, had you been in that household, you would not be going through these things. So Tisha goes back to therapy by herself. I think it was interesting to see Tisha here because she really, I mean, as she should be able to, she is really like speaking up for herself and discussing the things that she wants without, being shut down or feeling like she needs to shut down because her husband is not listening. So she was talking about how she doesn't get help in the house and how she pretty much, will be doing her schoolwork and then be trying to help the kids with the schoolwork, and then she has to take care of everything in the house by herself, and like her husband is like a fourth child, and she feels like she perpetuates the cycle of like seeing her mom. She said her mom was a single mom, and even like with her grandmother being married, they always did everything. The men were catered to. They always did everything, and she kind of was like put into that cycle. She didn't. She wants to break it, and she does want the assistance, but Marcel is refusing to assist her. And I just remember from like earlier seasons, like from Jump, she was a stay-at-home mom, and Marcel was like, you take care of the house and I go to work, and there was just no crossover. He didn't want her to work. He didn't want to come home and have to help her. Um and it's kind of sad to see. But at the same time, honey, if I was Tisha, I would have been taking his money, and if I needed help, I'm going to pay for help. So there would have been somebody in that house helping me cook, clean, and everything else I needed. Okay. Tisha also talked about how like she's just pretty much been a wife and a mother her entire marriage. She met Marsau her senior year of college, and I think quickly after that they got married. She was pregnant while they, had a wedding. So she just been wrapped up in this, and I don't know if she like was able to have time to herself. Like that's a lot to bear. Yeah, so I like that's one thing I will say I would not suggest people to get married or maybe even have kids young. Obviously, what's done is done, but if you can prevent it, try to live your life, because once you become married and have children, even if the responsibility is equally shared, it's still a lot. There is still a lot that comes with that. So, Tisha also discussed how like she didn't really get affection growing up. She was never told I love you, and the therapist asked her, does your husband tell you he loves you? And she said yes. And I think that, the first time he told her that he loved her, she kind of just fell into her husband's arms because that was something that she was not used to receiving. And I think it's good that she was able to like have breakthroughs with her therapist and have her single sessions. But even though he refuses to, Marcel should be open to having more sessions because he is not listening to Tisha, and she is saying like, I want more family time. I want more help around the house, and that is something that he should be doing. It does seem like he's kind of stepping that up, but you need to have more conversations with your wife without over talking her. So that's how the episode ended, and it was kind of nice to not have to deal with like any arguments or at least direct shouting matches between Melody and Martell. So it was pretty easy going. Um, Let me know what you guys think down in the comments about this episode, and I will talk to you soon.